Are the St. Louis Cardinals going to keep closer Ryan Helsley? The latest on his situation. Plus, we graded the position players yesterday. Today, we're talking pitching.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans of baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So the All-Star break comes to an end today, and real baseball begins yet again tonight between the Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Cardinals beginning the second half on the road in Arizona. Good thing it's the weekend so that everyone can stay up late and watch them as they try to make a push over these final 2 weeks before the trade deadline to decide what, if anything, they are going to do with their roster. They are currently a game and a half back in the NL wild card and 6.5 back in the division. And I know 6.5 seems like a lot. I mean, it is. But remember, just because the trade deadline is in a couple of weeks doesn't mean that the playoff race is over, too. Remember, last year, the Tigers were selling at the trade deadline, went on a run in the final month, and ended up making the playoffs. So don't get discouraged by the moves or lack of moves that are made at the deadline by the Cardinals. You just got to see how things play out. There was a piece in The Athletic by Jim Bowden where he discussed moving the trade deadline back, which I thought was interesting. He was suggesting, I think, middle of August is what it said. And I kind of agree because I feel like these teams, give them a little more room to breathe and make decisions. Like you come out of the break 2 weeks and then that's it. No other chances to make any trades. I just want to see how things play out a little bit more with so many teams in contention because you've got so many playoff spots to fill up. So it just kind of makes the number of teams who are willing to deal a bit less. Makes it a little less fun for people like me, which, I guess it can be good and bad depending on where your team is. For a team like the Cardinals, who are on the fence right now of what they need to be doing, it makes life a little more difficult. On one hand, you could trade some veteran pieces and pick up some prospects in return. On the other hand, you could deal away some prospects to try to improve your current roster and make a push to get into the playoffs if you believe that what you could get would be enough to get you into the dance in October. Last year they dealt Tommy Edman in a 3-team trade with the Dodgers and the White Sox that netted them Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. The move made sense as far as what they got in return. They were looking for another starter. They were looking for another bat from the right side to hit lefties, but it didn't make enough of an impact to push them across the finish line. Meanwhile, Edman, he goes to Los Angeles, hadn't played all year due to that wrist injury, so we didn't know exactly what he was going to be able to do. And he goes off and helps the Dodgers win a world championship. The White Sox end up grabbing some good prospects from the Dodgers, and you see what we're left here with in St. Louis. Fetty has struggled overall since donning a Cardinals uniform. He won 7 games with the White Sox and 21 games last year before the trade. Now he's 5-14 as a Cardinal with a 4.43 ERA and 29 starts since coming to St. Louis. Tommy Pham lasted a month before going on waivers and getting claimed by the Royals. The idea made sense of what they went out to get, but in the end, you look at it now and it's a bad trade. It didn't work. The Cardinals are likely not going to get much, if anything at all, for Eric Fetty. They didn't get anything for Tommy Pham, and they lost Tommy Edman in it. And you've also seen Tommy Pham go to the Pirates and help them win multiple games against the Cardinals, which stings even more. But one piece that the Cardinals held on to last year and this offseason is closer Ryan Helsley. Despite the expiring contract at the end of the year, despite peaking last year and winning the NL Reliever of the Year award, the Cardinals decided to hold on to him this offseason. And we don't know the exact reasons why. Maybe, the offers to pull Helsley out of St. Louis were underwhelming. That's a possibility. Maybe they were hoping he'd have a similar season and be worth even more at this year's deadline. That's a possibility. Either way, that hasn't worked either. Helsley has been far less effective this year and is routinely pitching around walks and hits, so his stock has dropped significantly from where he was last year. Could he still be worth something at the trade deadline? Absolutely. His resume, his ability to fire the ball in at triple digits is always going to attract teams. But Katie Wu over at The Athletic says that there's a possibility they may not move him at all. This was in their bold predictions portion of The Athletic, so take it for what it's worth. But she says the Cardinals, who are teetering on the competitive ledge themselves, don't seem inclined to trade him. Even with Helsley set for free agency after the season, St. Louis could net a sizable return by trading its closer, but it's more likely it holds on to him, extend a qualifying offer for 2026, and hope for a competitive draft pick if he walks. One of the many criticisms about the Cardinals front office in recent years has been that they value their guys, people in their house, their own people, too much, and hang on to certain guys too long. And this kind of feels like that sort of path again, doesn't it? Plus, a qualifying offer for Ryan Helsley would be around what, $20 to $21 million? I mean, for a team that has been cutting payroll, has had the TV money issues, attendance dipping, has the same salary, like payroll salary as they had for, they did 10 years ago. Pointed that out in yesterday's episode. They were at 128 10 years ago, and they're at 128 again now. They don't have they haven't produced a star player to attract people or spend on a star player to attract people to come to the ballpark. Does possibly spending $20 million on a closer sound like a good plan to you? And if someone does sign him, all you get is a draft pick in return. Does that sound like it's worth the risk? The risk you took this offseason by not dealing him for whatever reason it was has, in my mind, also backfired. Similar to the Fetty Pham trade. Helsley has depreciated in worth. He's a solid closer, but not elite like he was last year. He had a birthday today, actually. Happy birthday, Ryan Helsley. So he is 31 now, also known as the wrong side of 30. The fastball still sits at 100, but is also getting hit for an incredible 419 batting average. Opponents are raking against his fastball. So sometimes it's better to just punt and get out of a situation. But Katie is suggesting that perhaps they don't do that, and they go this route instead. I think that's a mistake, and I really hope that there is a decent offer for him at the deadline. I hope one of these other teams, like a Philadelphia, gets desperate and is like, that we got to do something. Like, I hope multiple blown saves happen for teams like the Phillies, who are already looking for bullpen help and are like, no, we got to do something. We got to get somebody. We can get the NL reliever of the year from last year. We can get him. And then forks over a small ransom, and it works out for the Cardinals. That's what I'm hoping for, because it's got to be something to make it worthwhile to move him. And then, he can go on and sign a bigger deal someplace else. But if there's not a significant return coming, and the Cardinals are still in striking distance of this wild card or even the division, then keeping him might be in the cards. No pun intended. So we'll see how it all plays out. Let me know your thoughts on the Cardinals possibly keeping Ryan Helsley now instead of trading him away. We're going to do some pitching grades for the first half next, plus look at the upcoming series in Arizona, who features one of my favorite players in the league. We'll get into that next on Locked On Cardinals. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever, watching the clock tick away. When we try to buy concert tickets, when they go on sale and you're in line, you're like in that virtual line waiting for them, and something happens and you lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, and that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. My wife just went and saw Kesha the other night. She's off to Vegas to go see the Backstreet Boys, and she can go on to Game Time and look up tickets for these particular shows and find the best seats that are available and see if it's something she'd be interested in. So if you're tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal, Game Time Zone Deals, they pick those best seats out for you in the section that you want. With Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. There are no hidden fees. And say your plans change because life happens. The Game Time guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leaving comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. We did those position player grades for the first half yesterday, so appreciate everyone who watched and listened and wrote back about it. You guys are awesome. Today we're going to do pitchers, starting with the rotation. And when you talk about the Cardinals rotation, you got to start at the top with their number one, Sonny Gray. People get mad at me when I use the word ace, so I won't say it, even though I just did. But last year, there were mixed feelings on what Sonny did as a St. Louis Cardinal. Coming over from Minnesota, some thought he did a solid job. I was one of those. Others felt he was underwhelming after finishing second in the Cy Young while with the Twins. Here in 2025, he's 9-3. Got an ERA of 3.50. Wins are up. The ERA is down from last year. So people seem to like that. But his strikeouts per 9 are also down from 11 to 9.8 from a year ago. And the opponent's batting average against is up from 228 to 241. But his strikeout to walk ratio is awesome. It's better at 6.21. In fact, that 6.21 strikeout to walk ratio is second best in all of baseball. Only AL Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal is higher than Sonny Gray right now at a preposterous 9.56. It's disgusting how big his is. So my grade for Sonny Gray, first half of the season this year, I'm going to give him a B. But I think he's closer to an A. He's had 3 really bad outings against the Angels, against Philly, and then Milwaukee that have skewed his numbers a bit. Outside of those 3 games, he's been incredible. He'd be an A if those 3 games didn't exist. So I've loved what I've seen from Sonny this year. There are some people who will never be happy with Sonny Gray because they feel like that he's the guy that is supposed to be the ace and he's not as dominant as some of the other aces around the league. And that's fair. You can say that. But he just happens to be the number 1 in St. Louis. Doesn't mean he'd be the number 1 in a lot of other places. And I think he's done a good job. So I'm going to give him a B. Matthew Liberatore. Team took a risk in moving him from the bullpen to the rotation, but it's proved to be the right move, not only for this year, but for the future, because Matthew Liberatore is worth a hell of a lot more as a starter than he was as a setup man for you in the bullpen. 6-7 record, 4.13 ERA. That doesn't jump off the page at you by any means, but also remember he's a young pitcher. He's 25, and this is his first full season as a starter, so there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be learning moments. He had that rough 3-game stretch at the end of May going into June, and his last outing wasn't very good at all against Atlanta. But personally, I'm very encouraged from what I've seen from Matthew Liberatore so far this year. I think he has shown that he's got quite a nice future as a member of this rotation. Certainly somebody who should be in the top 3 of your rotation moving forward after this year. I feel he's the number 2 behind Sonny Gray so far. I've been very impressed. I'm going to give him a B grade. It's closer to a C because some of the underlying things, opponents are hitting a whopping 263 against him. That has got to come down. That's the 3rd worst batting average against in the National League. That's got to be better. He's got to pump up the swing and miss. If he can do that, we'd really be talking about something special. But grade B, closer to a C. but not a bad grade. Eric Fetty, massive disappointment, right? Mentioned his stats earlier. 5-14 as a Cardinal overall this year. He's 3-9. The ERA is at 4.83. First 9 games of the season, too, weren't bad at all. Had that brilliant game against the Nationals. Complete game shutout. Follows that up with another beauty against the Philadelphia Phillies. And then things have just crumbled and have gone south. His last 10 starts, he's 0-6. The team is just 2-8. And he's got an ERA of 6.41. None of that is good at all. Opponents are also hitting 263 against him, just like Libby. That you can't live up there. It's just not feasible. And he's like most of these guys. They don't have swing and miss stuff. Ball's going to be put in play. You miss your spots, you're going to get hit pretty freaking hard. I give him a D grade. D as in dog. And it sucks because now, even if you want to flip him at the trade deadline, who's giving up anything for Eric Fetty? He's on an expiring contract. I assume somebody will be willing if they're desperate, but you're kind of stuck with him. Like, if nobody calls and says, hey, what would it take to get Fetty out of there? Then you're stuck with him, and you just keep pitching him. I don't I don't know. Because you want to see some of these younger guys pitch, but maybe he turns it around, but probably not. So grade D. Miles Michaelis, the Lizard King, has not been that bad. I repeat, he has not been that bad. I expected much worse this year after having seen what opponents had done to him in recent years. But here's the other thing. Miles is what he is. And to expect more than that, that's your own fault. To expect him to be all-star caliber Miles Michaelis like he was a few years ago, if that's what you envision when you see Miles Michaelis on the mound, that's your fault. That's a you problem because that's not who he is. He's 5-6. The ERA is at 4.94, right? Gross. You don't want that. Opponents are hitting 269 against him. Chip carry special, which is the worst of the starting 5 in the Cardinals rotation. And he has been schmammered on 4 occasions this year. The Boston Massacre, as we call it, 9 runs in 2 2/3 innings. Toronto got him for 6 in 5 innings. Cleveland got him for 6 in 4 innings. Then in Chicago, 8 in 6 innings. That's 29 runs. So I kind of did some digging here and was like, all right, 29, he's given up 53. So 29 of his 53 runs are in 4 games. Dare I say, outside of those 4 games, the same way I say with Sonny, he's actually been all right. 2.87 ERA, if my math is correct, and I think it is, in 14 starts. I gave him a grade C because that's what Miles Michaelis is. It is Michaelis roulette anytime he goes out on the mound. He could get destroyed. Or he could give you 5 solid innings. But that's what he is. He is what he is. Grade C, because I expect him to get pummeled pretty much every time he goes out there. And when he doesn't, which 14 of his 19 starts, he hasn't, I think that's pretty good. Andre Palante is 5-5 with a 4.49 ERA. Hasn't been as good as he was in the second half last year. Serviceable 5th man, right? On a really good day, he gets a ton of ground balls. He's 62.4% ground ball rate so far this year. But sometimes they find holes. And that's the risk you take with a pitch to contact ground ball guy. Sometimes they find holes. Lack of swing and miss will always hurt him. And so far this year, he's at a career low of 5.7 strikeouts per 9. And has already given up 14 home runs, which is a new career high. I think 9 was his career high before this. So he's well past that, and he's still got the second half of the season to go. So I'm disappointed in what we got from Palante this year. So I'm going to be mean. Grade D, as in dog. Because with the defensive infield that the Cardinals have assembled, where you've got Gold Glove caliber guys at 3rd, short, 2nd. Even Contreras is having a really good year at 1st. And for his numbers to still be this bad, it's just disappointing. So I'm going to be hardcore on him. You get a D, Andre Palante. Michael McGreevy has made just 3 starts. Steven Matz has made 2. But the Cardinals, in a way, have been very fortunate to have their 5 main guys healthy in the first half. Some say they wish that some of these guys were injured and let other people pitch like McGreevy, maybe like Matz. But honestly, you just need I'm fine with Sonny Gray, Matthew Liberatore, but those other 3 guys just either have to be better or you have to replace them with guys who have a higher ceiling to be better. Guys like McGreevy and Quinn Matthews and Koa Roby. We're anxious to see those guys instead of the 3 that you got in there right now. Palante is going to be around. He'll be around next year. I mean, he's not going anywhere. So you're replacing Fetty and Michaelis, and McGreevy's going to take one of those spots for sure. So it's Matthews or Roby. Roby has had a better year this year and has stayed healthy. So I'm excited. I'm excited for both of them. But if there's a guy that's going to get pulled up this year, it might be Tekoa Roby first. We're going to move on to the bullpen next. And plus, we're going to look at the Arizona Diamondbacks series. We'll preview the pitching matchups. And we'll talk about, again, one of my favorite players in the league who plays for them. So that's all coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, get local analysis on a national scale. You can find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So another area that the Cardinals have been in good health this year has been in their bullpen. The main core of Helsley, Maton, Romero, Leahy, King, Matz, no issues answering the phone when Ollie calls down to them to come into games. And that's a very reassuring thing to have. Not a lot of teams have that. You see other teams around the league just scrambling for help. They're just looking for any sort of able arms to pitch for them. The Cardinals haven't had that problem. They've been scrambling to find quality arms at the bottom portion of the bullpen to step up. And it looks like they might have found a couple guys, but it should be commended how healthy that this pitching staff has been able to stay both rotation and bullpen. So it's not an easy thing to do. So let's start with Helsley. Talked about him plenty early on. Strikeouts are down, hits, walks, they're up. They kill his fastball. The slider is a weapon. It's really, really good. But when you don't have anything else to fool the hitters, it makes him less effective. If they stay off the slider and don't chase it and just look fastball and clobber it like they have been, you see him struggle. And I've said it before, dude needs like a splitter to go with that slider fastball, and he'd be nasty. If he could figure that out, he'd be nasty. But he doesn't have that. He doesn't really throw that curveball anymore. The 12-6 that he used to throw has just quit. So it's been fastball slider over and over and over. One of them gets hit all the time. The other one does not. Grade C, because he still saved 19 out of 24 opportunities, 4th highest total in the NL when it comes to saves, but opponents are hitting 260 against him. And that's rough. And it seems like every time he's in the game, there is traffic on the bases somehow, some way. And it's stressful. It's very stressful. Phil Maton, signed late, has been as solid as you can ask him to be. Every reliever is going to have a hiccup from time to time. It's part of the game, and it normally happens at a very inopportune time when you're a relief pitcher. There's never a good time to give up a 3-run homer. And that happened to him against Atlanta. The last outing, gave up the home run. First home run he's given up this year. But the dude has been a rock, has appeared in 37 games this season, has now given up runs in just 4 of those appearances, twice by Atlanta. So good thing we don't have to see them anymore, because he has an issue with the Braves apparently. But everybody else he's really good against. I'm giving him an A. I'm giving Phil Maton an A. I got nothing but nice things to say about him. Stone cold on the mound. No emotion. You couldn't tell whether somebody just gave him $1 million or kicked him in the cup. You have no idea. Same face all the time. Would love to keep Phil Maton in a Cardinal uniform, but if I'm a playoff team, I'd be a fool not to call the Cardinals about him if they decide to move people. You'd be a fool. Hopefully you get something good. Jojo Romero, issues with the velocity early on this year, but got it figured out after learning to re-engage his hips while swinging golf clubs at Topgolf. That's a true story. none of the Cardinals coordinators or anybody figured it out. He did it himself while golfing. It just clicked for him. And since May, he has made 23 appearances, has an ERA of 0.47, has allowed 1 earned run in 19 innings. That's getting it done. Grade B for JoJo Romero. The only reason it's not an A is because of the slow start. It took him a little while to figure it out, but since then, he's been awesome. I have nothing but good things to say about JoJo there. Kyle Leahy had an incredible spring, kind of came out of nowhere. Everybody's like, dude, nobody's hitting this guy. What's up? Carried it over into the regular season where he was really, really good for a while, but then tailed off since basically the beginning of June. Over his last 14 appearances, ERA's at 4.74. He has struck out just 15 hitters in 19 innings. Does not have enough swing and miss stuff for the high-pressure roles that Ali has had him in because he was so good early on. And as time has moved on, Ali has not used him as much because he hasn't been good enough. I'm going to give him a grade. I'm going to go C. I'm going to give him a C because he was really good early on, but either the league has figured him out or there's something else going on because he was much better early, is not anymore, and, starting to look kind of Chris Stratton-esque, really. Like, there's just nothing all that special about it. So John King, ground ball guy, still gets the ground ball, 61.5% ground ball clip, but problem is, again, pitch to contact, they're going to find holes at some point or another, and they're constantly finding holes this year against King. Opponents are batting .311 against him and .325 against him on balls in play. So when they do hit it, 1 out of 3 times they're finding a hole, which is a massive jump from last year when he had a .258 batting average against and .280 on balls in play. So just a bad year, or is this who he is? So either way, hasn't been nearly good enough. You get a D, grade D for the King. Steven Matz, healthy all season for the first time since coming to St. Louis, has been exactly what they've wanted him to be this year. The swingman, sixth-man guy. He's 5-2 with 3.35 ERA overall, 4-2 with a 3.86 ERA as a reliever. He's 1-0 with an ERA of 1 in the 2 starts that he has made. He's another guy that I think other teams should be calling about at the trade deadline because he can do both. If you need him to pitch 5 innings, he can do that for you. You need him to cover long relief and get you 2 or 3 innings, he can do that for you. He's a left-hander, and he's healthy this year, which has made a huge difference for Steven Matz. So I'm going to give Steven Matz a grade B today. As far as the other guys go, these are the 2 guys that I mentioned that seem to have finally completed the bullpen. Riley O'Brien, Matt Swanson. Pitched pretty darn well recently. They've kind of filled the bottom part of the bullpen. And if some deals get made, I think they will see more significant roles for sure moving forward. Not sure what the Cardinals want to do with Gordon Graceffo yet, whether they're thinking starter. Is he a long reliever? I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but I've seen some heavy velo out of him, which excites me as somebody that hopefully will have some swing and miss in the bullpen. Certainly shown upside, as well as Andre Granillo, who was up here for a little bit. I didn't think he looked that bad, so I'm a little shocked he hasn't gotten a longer look yet. But when you've got Swanson and O'Brien doing well, there's nowhere else to really put him. So Ryan Fernandez, remember him? Pitched very well for the Cardinals last year, Rule 5 pick. Imploded early on this year, was just ghastly awful. Has pitched much better in June and July with Memphis. It was still a struggle for him for a while there. I kept an eye on him, just kind of like, dude, is this guy toast out of nowhere? But June and July went much better for him at Memphis. He should get another shot in St. Louis at some point. What they need is some left-handed bullpen help, really. A lot of decent right-handers, but if Matz is gone and, King's been ineffective, they need someone besides JoJo out there who can pitch from the left-hand side. So that is something that I think the Cardinals need to seriously look at and work on. Arizona this weekend to get the second half started, swept them at Busch Stadium back in May, but very competitive games. All 3 games were 1-run games. It'll be Andre Palante against Brandon Pfaadt in game 1 tonight. Pfaadt's got 9 wins this year, but an ERA over 5. certainly somebody you can hit. Sonny Gray versus Ryan Nelson on Saturday. Nelson has been very impressive over his last 6 starts. His last start wasn't all that good, was the weakest of them, but the previous 5 were really, really good. So that's somebody that is starting to, impress the guys in Arizona. Then on Sunday, you got Michaelis against Merrill Kelly, who has had a solid year as well. He's a guy that you've actually heard rumors that the Cardinals would be interested in bringing in. But he's somebody that, if Arizona decides to make some moves, that Merrill Kelly is probably somebody that gets traded away. When it comes to their offense, my guy, Corbin Carroll, love this dude, table setter of the team, one of my favorite players in the league, not tall, not big. He's a little dude, but he's got pop. He's got speed. He plays good defense. I love everything about him. Coming back from the IL, cracked I think it was his wrist, a bone in his wrist when he got hit by a pitch, but came back before the All-Star break, struggled when he got back from the All-Star break, but hit a home run in the All-Star game. Should be nice and healed up by now, so you got to watch out for him. Eugenio Suarez, also an All-Star, club 31 dingers at the hot corner already this year. Trade rumors have been swirling about him, maybe going back to Seattle, but he's a guy that you just got to keep him in the yard. Don't let him kill you with a 3-run bomb in a certain situation. So that's the danger there. And then, of course, Ketel Marte, their team MVP, another incredible season, hitting .290, 19 home runs, 40 RBIs. He's an absolute beast, switch hitter. Just love everything about Ketel Marte. He's been something else. And they've got other guys like, role players. I don't want to say role, but like they are just surrounding those 3 guys. Geraldo Perdomo has been excellent. Josh Naylor has been awesome over at first. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., fantastic players. Alec Thomas in center field, constantly making highlight reel catches in center field. That's his thing. He's more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy. Almost made that catch against Arenado when he hit that triple off of him at Busch Stadium. That he almost caught that. He's been making those catches more times than not. So obviously he's pretty good. It's hard to believe that this team hasn't been better than their record of 47-50. A lot of injuries in the bullpen have added to that. So got to take advantage of that if you can. Get through the starters, get to that bullpen and eat. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. I got to get my wife to the airport. She's heading to Vegas to go see the Backstreet Boys. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.